Hello Internet, Seth Skorkowski, and today we're going to talk about players. Bad ones. Now I've already done videos talking about bad characters, and people have said, those aren't bad characters, those are simply terrible players. And however, for me, there is a huge distinction between a good or a bad player and a good or a bad character. I have had great players that have occasionally dropped a bad character into the game, or at least try to drop a bad one into the game. And I've also had terrible players drop an amazing, epic, great PC into a game. But the difference between a good and a bad player, or at least the only difference that actually matters, comes down to the social contract. I did a video on that once, and it was my very first RPG vid, and while the information in it was good, wow, I am so happy that I learned how to edit and plan out what I was going to say before I started recording, because that thing is kind of painful for me to watch now. In that video, I said that while a GM must hold a player's enjoyment of the game even higher than holding their own enjoyment of the game, that is their number one priority, a player also has to keep the GM's enjoyment of the game and the other players' enjoyment of the game as their own highest priority, in order for everything to work smoothly and everyone to have fun and the game to move forward. The whole thing is a group effort. And whether that player is playing the best character in the world or the worst character in the world doesn't actually matter, not in the big picture. What matters is that the group as a whole is having fun. And a bad player, an actual bad player, is someone who forgets that. So, people want to know what I call a bad player? Well, here you go. The 5 worst tabletop players, or at least 5 of them. Number 5, the Steamroller. As a GM, I love it when a player wants to be involved. It makes my job way easier. However, the Steamroll player takes that excitement just a little too far. After 6 days of traveling through the wildlands, you finally arrive at the village.
Okay, guys, let's resupply before we go to the haunted mountain.
Okay, player 1, what do you want to do?
I want to get a new horse.
I'll get to you in a second, Todd, but player 1?
I want to get a horse.
Yeah, I guess a horse is a good idea. I'll go check out the stables.
I'm going to go with him.
Okay, well, you both find a horse merchant.
Does he have a heavy war horse? Because I want a black one. I'm going to name it Sharpie.
Okay, but hold on, man. I'll get to you in just a second, but it's still player 1's turn. But yes, he does have 4 war horses, and yes, one of them is black.
But I'm going to take that one. How much is it?
I guess I won't get a black one.
Okay, cool. So while you guys are there doing that, player 3, what do you want to do?
I need some new arrows. Is there a Boyer Fletcher in town?
Yes.
I'm going to go with him because I also need arrows. And do they have black feathers? Because I wanted to match my black horse. And do they have a black bow? I want one of those.
Hold on, you're buying a horse, remember? Let's get to player 3. He's the one that went to the Boyer.
Yeah, we're done with that. How many arrows does he have? Because I'm going to buy all of them.
Steamroll players are excited to play, and that is awesome. However, their excitement leads them to just take over scenes and talk above other players and just simply cut in line. This blatant disregard for the other players causes resentments and often means that by the time a player whose turn it was supposed to be to talk, by the time they finally get a chance to talk, they've completely forgotten what it was they were going to say, or what they wanted to say or do no longer matters because thanks to the Steamroller, the game has just moved on without them. Steamrollers need to learn how to just calm the hell down and let the other players play the game and just simply wait their turn. Number 4, the Puppet Master. Like the Steamroller, puppet masters forget that there are other players at the table, but instead of talking over the other players, they simply talk for them. A gibbering mass of eyes and mouths comes oozing out of the drain before you. What do?
I think I'm gonna
douse it in oil. That way player 3 can light it off his torch.
Yeah, but I was thinking that artifact might be able to...
Dude, throw your oil at it.
I guess I'll throw my oil at it.
Player 3?
I'm going to pour a line of salt in front of it. That way it can't get any closer. No, light it off your torch.
But the salt should work.
Yeah, but he threw his oil at it so you could light it.
Yeah, but I never said I was going to do that.
Dude, that's the plan.
Why don't you light it?
Because the plan is for you to do it.
Fine, whatever. I light the oil with my torch.
Players should be planning out their strategy when they want to overcome an obstacle. However, there's a huge difference between a group effort and discussion and a dictator that's just sitting there issuing out orders. Puppet masters act as if they're the only actual player at the table, and everyone else there just has this honor of being the people that are handling the paperwork for the puppet master's secondary characters. The best is when the Puppet Master's character isn't even at the scene at all, but the Puppet Master still backseat drives whatever the active players are doing. Most Puppet Masters believe that they're being helpful. Maybe they're guiding the less experienced players along, regardless if the other players have less experience than them at all. And while offering advice and helping out newer players is something that I encourage and I want my players to do, there is a definite difference between being helpful and being a bully that's issuing orders out. Because even if the puppet master does have the best suggestion, the other players need to decide what it is they want to do and feel involved in the game and control their character's destiny. And in my experience, players who share the table with the puppet master will either become complacent and just go along with whatever the puppet master is saying because they don't want to rock the boat and they don't want to fight about it anymore, or the other players end up rebelling and doing the opposite of what the puppet master is suggesting because they're so sick of the puppet master telling them what to do, so they do the opposite thing, even if the puppet master actually did have a great idea to begin with. Once again, this is a case of a player who is excited and involved, but they've taken it simply too far, as if they're the only one at the table that matters. Number 3, willfully ignorant. Most RPGs have a lot of rules, and learning those rules can take quite a bit of time. There's a definite curve to it. No player should just be expected to know all the rules simply out the gate. It takes a little bit of time to learn it. However, some players, no matter how long they might have played a system, just seem to never ever learn the basics.
The cyborg hurls the car aside and steps into the alleyway before you.
Okay, well, I'm going to pull out both my pistols and just start shooting at it.
Roll.
8?
Okay.
Add your dex.
Oh, yeah, it comes to 17.
Is that with the -3 for firing 2 weapons?
No, so that's just a 14. Damn.
What about the +1 for your laser sight? And doesn't the Malorian Killmaster give you a +2 each?
Yeah, I forgot, so therefore I hit it.
Awesome. What's the damage?
A lot? Dude, what's the damage?
3d6. Dude, how do you not know this?
Shut up, I'm still learning the rules.
It's been 2 years. When do you plan to start learning?
While a game master is required by the social contract to learn all the system rules to the best of their ability and the best that they can, players are also expected to learn the basics, especially required to learn any of the rules that are detailing with their own characters, skills, or abilities or powers. Willfully ignorant players instead pawn that responsibility off on everyone else at the table, just expecting them to hand them the answers to rules whenever they need them. This leads to the game slowing down to a crawl, as every game we have to once again remind the players how initiative works, or look up that spell that they cast every single game, but they never seem to remember how it works. The other problem that happens when a willfully ignorant player is in your game is that they're going to forget certain abilities and certain powers that they have, which means that their character is now going to be drastically less powerful than the GM is anticipating them being or the adventure might require, which is going to end up hurting your game as a whole because somebody is not operating at 100% knowledge of what it is they can do and how. And no matter how many times the game master or the other players stop the game and remind them how the rules work, the willfully ignorant player never goes around to changing how they learn the rules or how they make their notes or anything to reference the rules because they honestly don't feel that it's a problem, because they willfully ignored the part where, yes, it definitely is a problem. Number 2, there but not there. These are players who do make it to the game. However, while they are physically at the table, mentally they're somewhere else.
The corporate ninja drops from the ceiling, his Mano katana raised.
Damn. Well, I'm going to draw my Militech and I'm going to start shooting while I shout in the radio that we've been made.
Well, you better roll to hit before he's got a chance to split you in half.
Dude, check out this cat video.
Now, dude, seriously?
Yeah, dude, this is not the best time for that.
What? It is a funny video of this cute little kitty.
Or this.
Todd.
What? I got an 18. What am I rolling for?
The Spider Queen was asking us how we wanted to die? Dude, we're prisoners.
Oh, really? Well, I got an 18.
These are players who are easily distracted by whatever shiny might be around them, usually a phone, or they're wanting to start a random conversation with other players, regardless of what else might be going on at the rest of the table, and if that player might be involved in the rest of the game, or if they're talking suddenly so loud that no one else at the table can hear what's going on because they don't really notice that there's a rest of a game going on. Subsequently, the game suffers because that player misses important details and the game gets stalled because we have to constantly go back and catch that distracted player up with whatever's going on because they completely missed it. And while yes, it is the game master's duty to make sure the game is as fun, as engaging, as exciting as they possibly can, These players seem to do everything they can to not pay attention to what's going on, even if their character is the star of a particular scene, and they're also going to do everything they can to take the rest of the players down the rabbit hole with them. Smartphones are frequently a method they use, deciding that during the game is a perfect time to check their Facebook or tweet about something or watch YouTube videos, which, by the way, please don't watch my YouTube videos in the middle of a game. Thanks. These players believe that even though they're not paying total attention to the game, they're still 100% engaged in what's going on, and that they're not actually distracting the other players or missing any important details, which is kind of amazing because if they bothered to pay attention to the game, they'd find out that yes, this is a problem, and they're distracting everyone else and they're missing all the details. Number 1, the Rage Monster. Tabletop games have a lot of parts, and sometimes those parts, whether they be the dice, or the other players, or the rules, or the game master, might make someone upset. I know, right? Surprising. But even if that mistake falls into the category of a game master sin or a player sin as something that does need to be addressed in order to improve the game, the reaction that a Rage Monster gives to it is far worse than anything possibly warrants.
The great dragon unleashes its breath weapon and kills Nerdort the Beardless in a plume of white-hot death. Sorry, man.
Dude, shouldn't I have smelled something before I entered that cave? Like, I don't know, the smell of sulfur, or the stink of dragon poop or something?
Yeah, he does have a point.
That's a good point. He probably would have smelled it. Damn, I'm sorry, man.
Ugh! You screwed up and now I'm dead! I wouldn't have gone in there if I had known! Ugh! You suck!
You about ready to begin?
Yeah, dude, I just need to get my starting gear. Hey, dude, could you pass me back my investigator guide?
Hold on, I'm almost done with it. I just need to choose my last skill.
No, you buy your own. You've hogged that for the last 20 minutes, and just because I let you borrow it doesn't mean you can freaking keep it from me.
Fine, here you go. Jesus.
Players that blow their top with an outburst will absolutely kill a session. Even after tempers have cooled, sessions can rarely recover from the appearance of a Rage Monster, as everyone else is now on pins and needles afterwards, worried that something else might set them off. And not just the person who is the focus of the Rage Monster's anger, but everyone else at the table. Even sessions later, game masters and other players can remain uncomfortable and on edge, because they don't want anything to set the Rage Monster off and ruin yet another game for them. This creates a constant, unspoken tension that can cause many players just to outright leave a group or a game master to stop running a game altogether because no one likes being yelled at, no one likes being around other people getting yelled at when all they wanted to do was just have a nice, fun game day. Take the 2 example skits. In both of those, the player did have a legitimate complaint. In one, a game master screwed up that led to a player death, and in another, a player was hogging another player's book. Okay, yeah, those are legitimate complaints, but the reaction was so over the top and unwarranted that whatever set the Rage Monster off to begin with is now completely meaningless and forgotten in comparison. And what started as a great opportunity to correct an actual problem has now been completely overshadowed by an even bigger problem that runs the serious risk of destroying an RPG group altogether because no one likes being yelled at or wants to play with somebody that gets way more angry than any RPG game should warrant. And no, it doesn't even have to be the exaggerated version that I used in my skits. There's also the passive-aggressive Rage Monster, which is only slightly less awful.
Hey, dude, could you pass me back my investigator guide?
Hold on, I'm almost done with it. I just need to choose my last skill.
Oh, well, okay, then I'll just sit here, It's not like I spent money on that book or anything, but no, that's cool, You could just keep the game hostage.
I'm really uncomfortable right now.
Oh, don't blame me. I'm not the loser that keeps bogarting all the books.
As I've said before, tabletop gaming is a group effort. Everyone has to contribute for the experience to be fun for everyone. And anyone at the table, whether it be another player or a game master that isn't doing their part in ensuring that everyone else at the table is having the most enjoyment that they can, it runs the serious risk of one day discovering that they have no one else to play with.
Hey, thanks for watching. So, do you agree with our list? Is there anything we missed? Hit us up in the comments below. But if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, all that drill. Until next time, compadres, stay awesome. Dude, why'd it always have to be the jerk player? It's like, it gives me a complex.